1 2 1 2. Just testing it out here. Got another minute and 45 seconds or so, and we'll be on. Maybe less, maybe about a minute and 20 seconds or so. Whenever this video is over, we'll come in. So get ready, everybody. I am. I think. All right, here we go. Or maybe. Whoa, what happened here? You lost everything or what? No. I lost something. I don't know if you guys can hear me. My computer is bugging out at the moment. Let's see if we can get back on this stream. My computer is locked out. And I might be broadcasting, or I may not be broadcasting. I'm not sure. Things got goofy just suddenly. But let's see if we can catch up. See, my software is having a little trouble here. Let's see if I can bring them back. Let's see. Let's go to this page. Every single time we come up here and try to do this, there's some crazy technical difficulties coming in. Let's see. Somebody's already coming in the green room. Who's this? Who do we have here? Oh, somebody was going to be here, and now they're gone. Well, anyway, I hope you guys can see me. I hope you guys can hear me. I think we're better off than last week somehow, because I'm not looking choppy. I'm looking at myself, and I'm looking kind of okay. But hey, wait, what are we doing here? My name is Abe Duque, and this is 343 TV. My show is called Abe Duque's Production Playhouse. We're here I'm here every Friday at 1 o'clock, but 343 TV, we're here almost every day at 1 p.m. We have shows that cover everything you might want to know or talk about or hear about in production, composing, recording, mixing, mastering, whatever you like. We have shows on Monday. Monday we have Doltrick Show, Tips and Tricks. On Tuesday we have Tetro Talks. On Wednesday we have Louis Beck doing his show. I always forget his name. He changed his name to his show. It used to be Hybrid Home Studio, but now it's I forget. I'm sorry, Louis, or I'm sorry, Justin. But his show is amazing. It's actually kicking butt these days. It's everybody's loving this third season of his show. Check it out. It's on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. And on Thursdays we have Theory Thursdays with Max Wild, of course. And Fridays, well, that's me. And Saturdays, that's John Selway with his Techno Saturday show. Let's see. We have some people in the chat sitting in here. Even though we had some trouble in the beginning, I don't know what happened really in the beginning. My software was glitching out. Let's see. Enigmatic Onion is here and seems to be always here, as Andrew Duque is always here, and John H. Kingston III is always here, always kind of backing us up and kind of making me feel at home. I'm glad to see you guys. You guys are saying hello. Michelle DV says, hi, guys. Enigmatic Onion says, I found I have a lot less streaming issues when I have dedicated audio interface just for streaming versus using Banana or Restream. Yeah, we're using Restream now, and we just like to go to a few different platforms at the same time. But I think we're good. I think we're good for now. I think it's working. Let's see. Andrew Duque was telling me, I was reading something he wrote in the chat. He said, hey, Abe Duque, my son had been playing with audio last week and introduced him to MIDI, and it blew his mind. Again, crazy that I was 31 years old when I started with Live 1, and he is only 11 and has Live 10 intro. That's crazy. Yeah, they do grow up. I got 2 girls myself, twins. I try to make them like this stuff. They don't. So sometimes they take, and sometimes they don't take. Again, yes, we are here at 343 TV, and 343 TV comes from 343 Labs. We are a school. We are here on the internet and in person. You can take classes with us in Berlin or in New York City. We have classes covering all sorts of things from Ableton, Logic, composition. I don't want to forget. Let's see. There's sound design for music producers. There's mixing and mastering. There's vocal production as well. And if I'm forgetting any program, I'm sorry, but there's plenty of classes. They're starting all the time. Come and check us out on the internet at 343labs.com or 343labs.de and check out our class schedule. Maybe you'll want to hang out with one of us in one of our classes. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else going on in the chat. Rashane is here. Rashane has been my student. I think I've had her in 2 classes now. She's in my currently in my mixing and mastering class. Max Wild is here. Max is the one of the founders of 343 Labs and also all around nice and fun guy. All right, so let's get going. I have some things planned for today. Today we need to talk about building your studio. We're going to do that a little later, but I want to, do a couple of things before. Of course, we need to start with what we always start with, which is, well, let me do a little intro. This is 343 TV, and this is the news. All right, this is the news. So let me get my news ready here. Got it all here, but I need to make it come up front because it just can't see it. I can't read it if I can't see it. Let me see. Maybe I'll put it on this part here and make it so that I can read it. All right, here we are. Oh, somebody's coming in. On the news. Oh, let's see. Oh, good. Let's see. We have our first guest for today. And in the news, I'm going to include our little guests today. Hold on. Guest number 1. I asked a lot of people to come in. This is Nick Lobier. Nick, you're in the news. Nick Neutrons, right?
Yeah. What's up, man?
Nick,
can you hear me?
Nick was also an instructor with me at Dubspot. Seems to be a lot of us come from Dubspot a long time ago, right? It's been a while since that kind of went up in flames. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. I've given out the link to a few fun people, and maybe you could sit around. I'm about to do the news right now, so maybe you can. Maybe you could chime in on what you know about it or what you've heard. Maybe you'll be surprised by what you hear. So let's see. Let's do the first thing in the news, and this is from Make Noise and Alessandro Cortini. They made a new instrument. This is a Eurorack instrument. I had Nick came over my place a couple of weeks ago, and we were playing around with a bunch of Eurorack stuff. Nick was confused as to why I would want to do that, why I'd want to torture myself like that. And he actually put a seed in my head to think like, yeah, why am I doing that? Why don't I just do it the easy way? But anyway, this is a new Eurorec device for Make Noise. Make Noise makes this really amazing thing. Some of the most classic of all the Eurorec devices that you ever get are in are Make Noise devices. I think everybody says that you should get the Maths device that they have. That should be probably your first device that you ever get. Let's see. Let's just see what they have going on now. Strega is the new Make Noise invention. A tone maker, control instrument, and effects processor. It's also an artistic collaboration with Alessandro Cortini. And this is from Create Digital Music, by the way. I'm just reading news from different sources here. So Strega, it's a really nice new thing. It's very reminiscent of the Oak Coast. If you guys know what the Oak Coast is, it's kind of a standalone device that lets you kind of do everything in one. It's pretty big, and I suppose it costs a big price. It has a big price tag as well. This is Make Noise devices are not cheap. All right, let's go on to our next bit in the news. And this, I don't know. Have you heard of the RD9, Nick?
Nah.
That was a really cool laid back nah.
Had a long day yesterday.
Yeah, I bet. All right, let me show it to you. This is the RD9.
Yep, I knew it was a rolling thing.
No, it's not. It's supposed to be a rolling thing. So Behringer, have you heard this company?
Oh.
Okay, now you know. Okay, so Behringer has got this kind of like, it's done in mission to like just clone everything that ever was made, and it was fun, and just kind of make cheap versions of it. A lot of them have been very well accepted out there. A lot of them have been, and they did the 808 recently, and a lot of people I see them using it. Even people like John Selway, who probably owned an 808 at one point and has used the 808 very much in his productions. Has one now. So this is the RD9. It's a long time development, and finally it's going to be here. Whenever they announce anything else, the first time people are like, "What? Where's my RD9?" Right? That's not the only thing, though. So it's a clone of TR-909, and I don't know if it's any good, but if it's anything like the 808 clone, it's probably really good. And I think it might be like $350 good. So if you wanted to get a real 909, you're looking at like 4K or something like that to buy a 909. So if you're into that. So the 909 was a drum machine that was very famous for all the house music stuff of the 90s and the all the early techno, all that 909 stuff. That 909 drum machine was the one that really made a signature for that sound. Behringer also revealed that they're going to clone they have this thing called the Pro 800 now, which they're cloning the Prophet 600. They don't stop. I mean, they're gonna clone me very soon. Let's have a look at the chat. Let's see. TWD Industries says, "Oh, Strega, interesting kit, uses contact points to allow you to patch with hard by hand instead of cables, and similar to landscape of AIF flesh touch adapters." Sorry, I got this monitor is so far away. I should have put this one on this my chat on this one, but it's not coming up for some reason. All right, let's keep it going here now, and that was from Gear News. Now from Create Digital Music, they have a rundown of all the new Korg thing. Korg is on a mission right now. Korg is an absolute mission right now. Let me just pull up some graphics here for you guys to see here. So Korg is on a tear. They are really going nuts. They've announced a whole bunch of new devices. This one is something that I wish I just had extra money to buy. This is the ARP 2600M. It's Korg's 26 ARP 2600 remake, but it's smaller, so it's like maybe 80% of the size. Same circuit, smaller size, and it has a USB connection so that you can hook it up to your computer directly, not like the original. It's made in Japan, and it's true Korg at its best. So, I don't know. Might have to sell something to grab this because I've always wanted an ARP 2600. Let's see what else Korg has got going on. Let's see. They have this new synth here. And I don't want to pulling up too many things at once here. Let me get rid of that. Here's the Mini Korg 700. Now, this is a throwback to something they did really early. It comes in a nice little case, and this is how the original came. So adding to the reissue mayhem of the world synths, here's a rarity, the first mass-produced synth Korg ever made. They say it's faithful reissue of the original with an addition of an arpeggiator, a joystick, CV gate, inputs, and spring reverb, and memory buttons as well. So this is the first synth that Korg ever made. Have a look at that. That looks pretty sweet, and it comes in that really nice, sweet case as well. Throwback for you lovers of old Korg stuff. All right, so let's see what else I have here. I had this mod wave that Korg is putting out now. There's a lot of Wavetable stuff out there, but this is Korg's Wavetable synth. His new Wavetable synth, standalone synth. Wavetable is all the rage with
Definitely want that.
These all right, man.
That's my jam right there.
There you go. Have a look at that.
Love it.
It looks sweet. It's not so big. It's probably about the same size as the Monotron, or not the Monotron, the Mono.
Yep, mini log.
Mini log, yeah, and they have the monologue as well. Yeah. That's but it's a wavetable, so I'm sure it's going to be pretty sick, considering that Korg is always doing their homework. And a wavetable synth is only as good as the wavetables it includes. I'm sure you're going to be able to load in other wavetables, which is going to be really a lot of fun. So let's see, anything interesting about this? Well, what's special? It's about 32-note polyphony. That's pretty good. And there's now all new chaos physics-based modulation. Don't know what that is, but sounds really sexy.
It's like touch-based. You touch that pad in the top left-hand corner, you're going to get all kinds of changes to like probably the physical modeling and maybe the space and all that stuff. I think that's probably good too.
This is a new concept for them, they say, plus what they call motion sequencing 2.0. So there's loads of ways to animate your sound, and it fits perfectly with wavetable sounds. So Korg has this dual wavetable strategy that they're kind of implementing. And, let's wait till you buy yours and you bring it over, or I come over and check it out. I still got to come over to your house.
Yeah, man, come through. I was going to send you a direct message this week, actually, because I was like, what's Abe up to?
Yeah.
Into the snake pit.
All right, let's see. What's the next bit here? Just one more from Korg. I mean, Korg is on a rampage these days. So let's see, one more from Korg. Let me just read the stuff in the chat. So the TW Industry says, I'm curious how the Coast will compare to this TTSH. Also, he says that Mini Korg is incredibly interesting. Was originally meant to be a sub keyboard for an electronic organist. Yeah, that thing is really something I don't know if I'd buy it, but okay. So check this out. Check this out. They have a Keytar as well, a new Keytar that they're offering. I know, Nick, you've been looking for something to augment your live show, and there it is, man. A beautiful new Keytar. It's the RK100S. RK100S.
I can't do it.
Come on, man. It has a vocoder built into it. Come on.
I'm curious as to like what sounds they put on that Keytar. Like what's, I mean, I'm sure you can like just run. You probably can run Bluetooth MIDI at this point with something like that. But I am curious, like, what are the sounds they deem to be the kind of essential Keytar sounds?
Well, they've stuck the Micro Korg XL engine in it.
Got you.
So that's not bad, because that's a pretty popular engine, that Micro Korg engine. It's actually, especially around hipsters, it's the it's the rage.
Sure.
So
I mean, you do kind of need four knobs to make stuff with that engine. I mean, you don't need it, but that's kind of the whole thing, is you have those four knobs on the front of the Micro Korg that allow you to, you know, depending on what page you're on, you do the ADSR, you do the filter ADSR. I don't see anything on that see one knob.
yeah, but you
knobs.
know what might be really cool is that you could just hook up a microphone to it, and hold on, my other camera died again. I gotta turn it back on. You could hook up a microphone, like a headset microphone, and then just kind of get on stage and like sing and play the guitar. I don't know.
True.
If you're into that, just saying. All right, let's see. Do I have anything else in the news? I think that's it for the news today. This has been 343 TV, and that's what's in the news this week. All right, let's get out of the news. So let's go back to something else. Let me go to my main screen, and I'll bring you up in here as well. So, Nick, what have you been up to, man?
Let's see. A popular blog that went away for 2020 mysteriously has resurfaced. So I'm working on this tune for that YouTube page / blog called The Accidental Poet. So I'm finalizing a kind of ghostly, trappy tune for Accidental Poet. I'm working on a couple of releases for some of the artists that I'm working on. I'm working on getting through my Canvas course, which, as a teacher of a Manus Prep high school program now that I've been thrown into by Codes, actually. Codes recommended me for this. He said, hey,
Codes. We got to get Codes on the show. Haven't seen him in a while.
He seems like he's probably by now a modular guy too. I mean, I don't know for sure, but
you say that like it's a disease, like he finally caught the disease.
No, I don't. You know, I don't. I'm the weird guy. I'm the plebe that is kind of like, I'm not anti-modular. It's just like I am so shallow and melodic with my music production process that modular is like it's a little bit being lost in the weeds. Like I like subtractive. And I like wavetable stuff. Like that's what I like. Just modular stuff. It's like it's so it's in the weeds for me. But it's
well, it's
cool.
a lot. It's a lot. The thing is with modular, there's a lot more work involved. Like to just do a simple thing that you would just do in any kind of already preset synthesizer. You got to kind of build the synthesizer before you make a sound with it, which is fun to some people. I must say I'm not that happy in that stage of it. I'm always very frustrated, but once I get past that stage of like this week, I kind of, let me just see if I can switch my camera here. So I kind of just kind of set up my whole, I mean, this is how it was when you came here, but I kind of repatched everything back with these racks that I have here so that everything is kind of working as one. I use this drum machine as my main drum machine, and then 303 kind of does its thing. And then I have a few things here and a few things there, and then that one over there, and now I'm able to kind of just turn it on and just start making some fun. But that was like a whole night of like, I don't know, it took maybe 6-7 hours of just like patching and pulling my hair out and like trying to figure out why this is not working and what would be. Finally, when you get it together, then you don't want to unpatch it and start again. But eventually, at one point, you do have to unpatch it because you're going to start making the same types of sounds after a while. So it's not.
I mean, that kind of pulls you back into the same question about like releasing, recording, like finalizing, making libraries, converting to audio, like all that stuff is a way to kind of like to journal sort of the entire process, because it's like, you make these sounds and you have this long, arduous process of setting up the environment that generates this stuff. And then it's like, once you've done that, well, what do you do next? It's like, cool, like convert it to audio, or like,
There's not enough energy left over to make any music. Once you've done patching all the stuff, I don't know. You modular lovers in the chat, let me know what your thoughts are. And again, if you guys have any questions or anything you want us to talk about, just type them in the chat, and we'll have a look, and we'll see what's going on. All right, so I wanted to today. Today we still have to. Today we're talking about building your home studio, but I wanted to spend a little time. I want to make a little segment each day, each stream, where we dedicate just a little time to a concept or a device that we may be using very much, and maybe don't have a clear understanding of, or I just wanted to clear everything up. And today I wanted to talk about, the device of the day is the LFO. Now, a lot of you may have known what an LFO is for years now and just feel like this is fundamental and basic and everybody should know it, but a lot of you don't. And it sometimes is one of those things that slips by and you don't really get exactly what an LFO is. So I'm going to pull up, I have another DAW here. I wanted to use Bitwig. Bitwig had a 3.32 release today, a 3.32 release. And it kind of, reminded me that I should use Bitwig from time to time. So I'm just going to pull up my Bitwig here. So here's that. I got to bring you in too, Nick. Hold on. You there? There you go. Are you able to? All right, so we're in Bitwig now. And so I have a little thing I was working on here. Bitwig is awesome. Let me make sure that I'm coming through here. Yeah, I'm coming through, and it's pretty loud too. So I'm just going to lower that a little bit. Bitwig has, I tell you, Bitwig, have you used Bitwig at all, Nick?
10 years ago when we were working together, I did I got like a pre-release, like the beta version of the first one.
Right before it even came out. We had it like a couple of years before it came out.
I was making a lot of tracks in it for a little while, but then I think I had some kind of data issue. Like I lost a hard drive that had my songs on it, or I had a crash with one of my favorite pieces of music I lost. And then
that made you mad.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it has these. It has an amazing sound. It also has these really nice drum devices in here, so you can make some pretty cool, kicks, and it's just exactly what you need. So get that, and I had a polysynth in here that I had made a bass line with. Nothing special, just something kind of So got the bass going on here, and then I had another poly synth here with the synthesizer part. So yeah, it's just basic kind of little housey jam. So I'm gonna apply the use of a LFO somehow to working with this little doodle that I have here. So let's first explain what an LFO is. And LFO stands for Low Frequency Oscillator. And at that, when you hear Low Frequency Oscillator, I think a lot of people initially get confused already when they hear the name LFO, Low Frequency Oscillator. And the reason they get confused is basically because they feel that that an oscillator should make sound. So they figure it's an oscillator that makes low frequencies, so it should be bass. Maybe it's maybe a bass oscillator, right? But the idea with the low frequency oscillator or LFO is not that it makes a sound at all. It makes a waveform like you may get in any particular oscillator, but the waveform is so slow that it's not meant to be heard. So we have our human range of hearing is like between 20 and 20,000 hertz, and the 20 hertz being the low side of things. If we have frequencies that are lower than that, say 2 hertz, meaning 2 cycles per second. So this sine wave is going. This is my hand. It's a sine wave now. Okay, 2 cycles per second, right? I'm trying to do this twice a second. that means it's 2 hertz, but we can't hear that. So we don't use the LFO to hear things. We use the LFO to take advantage of the way the wave is kind of performing, and we just jump on the wave. We add a parameter to the wave so that the parameter goes for a ride. So let me just demonstrate. So in Bitwig is amazing for modulation. And the reason I thought we talk about LFO today a bit, and Bitwig has modulation possibilities that are like way beyond any other DAW. So I'm just going to click here where I can add modulation to this synth, and I'm going to add LFO. So this is just the LFO. So now you could see the cycle. The cycle starts at the top, goes down, and then gets to the top again, and then comes around again. That's a full cycle of the LFO. Right now, let's look at the parameters. So right now we have this speed going on in hertz. So it's now 0.1 hertz, meaning it takes 10 seconds for one full cycle to happen. We could slow it down as slow as 0.02 hertz. That's really slow. I mean, look at that thing crawling up there. And we could speed it up as fast as 50 hertz. So 50 hertz is probably something you could hear, but this is never meant to be heard. This is meant to be mapped to something. So let's set this at 2.1 hertz. Let's click on this and let's map it to a parameter. So let's have this play while this is happening. Let's map it to some parameter. Let's try the filter. The filter is easy enough. Let's add a little movement in the filter. As you see now, the filter is modulating to the speed of the wave that is created here by the low frequency oscillator, by the LFO. Now, it's kind of out of sync, so I'm going to switch it so that it actually goes to, look at all these things that I could switch it to. Let's try, which one should I try? Quarter note, eighth note, 16th note? What do you think, Nick?
Let's try eighth note.
Eighth note. Oh, that's pretty cool. That reminds me of some of those rave basses that you have that maybe Joey Beltran would have made. So let's get another LFO involved. Let's grab another LFO. And let's map this to a shape. And once again, let's get that going at a different speed. Let's do hertz, but let's do maybe quarter note on this one. So you see this moves this, and this moves that. And with Bitwig, you could go crazy and do all sorts of things as you kind of, decide what, I mean, you could, I could go nuts right now and immediately start mapping everything, in different directions too. I could go, negative and positive. Now I got some crazy action, and all this is because we have this LFO in action. The LFO is the device of the day. It's a simple modulation tool. Modulation means to change a parameter over time. It's a way to create some movement in a sound, and it'll take a rather ho-hum sound and make it much more interesting. So let's see if we can get with the other one. Let's add LFO to this guy here. So let's see. Let's change that to immediately to like quarter note, and let's map that to, let's pick something else this time. Let's pick something like what happens when we do it to the attack? Wait, which one am I on right now? Hold on. I want to be on this one. Yeah, it's the one I'm on right now. Let's see what happens if I go straight to the filter. Oh, there you go. I got some resonance now going. I can change the waveform. I can go from like a sine wave to like a triangle to some sort of weird V-shaped wave, or skew it so that I can get some sort of ramping wave here. Pretty cool. Anyway, this is Bitwig's take on the LFO, which is pretty interesting, but it works pretty much like most LFOs do. And that is today's device of the day, the LFO. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. Thank you, Nick. I'm glad I made you happy there. All right, let's keep it moving. It's about halfway point, and I wanted to just take a little time again to let you guys know you're watching 343 TV. We are here every day at 1 p.m. I stream every Friday at 1 p.m. My show is called Production Basics. Or no, it used to be called Production Basics. Now it's called Abe Duque's Production Playhouse, because that's what I'm trying to set up in here, a nice production playhouse. I got plans, and I'm trying to execute them. I don't know if you noticed, Nick, but I got a couch back there now. Now I got a couch so people could come and sleep over when they have long sessions. All right, and if you like what you see here, please hit the like button. If you like what you see, please, because I'm trying to impress my boss. If he sees that I get a lot of likes, then he might, I don't know, give me a pat on the back or something.
Where's the like button?
On YouTube. You got the little, yeah, because we're streaming on YouTube right now.
I'm on the what's it called?
Yeah, you're probably just seeing me through the interview platform.
Yeah, the eCam thing.
Yeah, to go on YouTube and this is oh, look, we have somebody else coming in. Let's add another person into our mix here. Hold on. Before we add that person, let me switch scenes here to a scene where I can have more than one person.
Here we go.
Let me have. So there's yes, Nick should be there. And now let's add person number 2, which is John Selway. John Selway, say hello to Nick. Neutrons. John is muted for some reason. I have him muted here, or you have yourself muted, John. You are muted, John. You cannot say a word. For some reason, also Nick is muted. The whole interview section is muted.
Don't. What are you doing? Good Lord.
All right. We're in now.
Hey.
We're in now.
We're in
So,
now. How's it
yeah,
going?
Nick, say hello to John. John, say hello to Nick. You guys know each other from back in the Dubspot days. We're all 3 Dubspot instructors. Hey, if there's another Dubspot instructor out there that wants to call in, you can do as well. Somebody like maybe Max Wild. Maybe we could get Dan Giovi on here one and we could all rag on him.
I think we could sell tickets for that, to be honest.
I think that's an inside Dubspot joke. All right, today we're meant to talk about building your own studio. And
it's interesting that you picked that topic. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube of people saying, like, if I were to start my studio over again, what would I do? Or, I think it just was in my mind, this idea of like, what would I do if I were building a studio right now? So this is timely.
What would you do, John, if you were building a studio right now?
Well, okay, it's tricky now. I used to have a studio, as you might remember. I shared a space in Brooklyn with Tony Rohr and Greg Schiff and Olmar and Greg from Thug Effer, and you remember them? And some other people were in and out of there. We had some interesting producers, and there was an audio engineer we had in there for a while. It was great because he had all this cool gear that we could play around with. But that ended a long time ago, and now I'm working at home in my living room. You wouldn't know because I've got this crazy green screen behind me, but
your living room is off the hook.
Yeah, I got light shows and everything. So no, but like, what would I do if I, ideally at this point in my life, I've been making music for a long time, and I've been, I've made a living at it. I was supporting myself as a producer and a DJ for many years before teaching. But other than the shared studio space we had in the basement of a brownstone in Brooklyn, I've never had my own personal, set up exactly the way I want it. Like I always was like, it was always transitory. I was going from this apartment to that bedroom to this basement to this, whatever studio space. 343 Labs used to have a separate studio space for a little while. Like that was great. Right. But I've never had my own long-term, put a lot of time and effort and building it into exactly what I want. So it is a nice kind of dream for me to go through right now.
So
to think, what would I do?
So what would be the first thing that you could think of? I have some stuff written down here, but I'm wondering what would be the first thing you'd think of if you had to like start today. What would be the first thing that would pop into your mind about building a studio?
Well, two things jump into my head simultaneously that are almost equally important, and one of them is probably on your list. One is acoustics, right?
It's on my list, but not the first thing on my list.
Equally important is it a place that you want to spend time in? Is it a comfortable space that
That's
you
nice,
want to be in? Yeah.
Yeah, that could go on the top of the list. I'd say, Nick, do you have any ideas for what you might think about if you were like just starting today with a brand new studio?
I mean, so much of it for me is like, I've had situations where the room has been sort of, oh, well, you just get this room because that's just where
you
you're
just
at.
get, that's it, right? That's
exactly,
it. That's
you
it.
have a choice.
You got it now. That's the first thing I have in there. It's location. It's if you can influence the location, you better, do everything you can before you get started building out there.
Because that kind of goes along with what I was saying about, is it a place you can be comfortable?
Well, how about this?
You can spend time in.
Can you make noise there?
Yeah, that's
part
one
of thing that you have to. Well, not really, because I think
the flip side of the coin, right? Like
right. So I have a distinction here.
And
like
the other side is what it sounds like to other people.
Right. So think about it. Like you don't want to be able to disturb. You don't want to have to disturb anybody, to lower it all the time. You don't want to be able to, have to think about being worried about people robbing it all the time. So location, where's it going to be is probably, for me, that would be the first thing that would come to mind, and what can I do there? What can I get away with in there? Can I have people there at all times? Can I have people, oh, look at this, Maria 909 is joining us. All right, here we go, Maria. Welcome, Maria. We're just discussing how to build your own studio. Let's see, let me assign her to a spot here. Okay, here we go. Here's Maria. Okay. Maria.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hey. Maria's a really old friend of ours. I don't know, Nick, you probably don't know her, but Maria and I and John go all the way back to the Limelight days when we used to be. Wow. Yeah, we used to be. And Maria's dancing right now. That's why.
I'm not. I don't know. I'm sorry. This is Charles. This is his room. He's a drummer, so I'm just like, all right. And that'd be cool. Anyway, hi.
All right, so yeah, just like a quick intro. Maria's been around forever, doing all sorts of things inside the music industry. She's one of the most knowledgeable people that I know when it comes to things. And I invited her to come in here, and from time to time, I want her to come in, and she's gone now. From time to time, I want her to come in and add some whatever to the. And she's also very entertaining. Let's just get her back in here. Maria, you're back. All right, so we were discussing building a new studio and the things that you need to kind of think about. And we've all come to the agreement, or at least I've told everybody they should agree on the fact that location is the first and the most important thing. Can you make some noise in there? Are you able to have people there all times of the day and night and able to to get things going? And John mentioned acoustics. John, do you want to make a distinction now? Because I know you know where I'm going to make the distinction with acoustics. And that would be, yes, I'm talking to you, John. And you, John, are frozen? Oh, no, not anymore.
There's a big delay in the video. Anyway, yeah, acoustics, there's two sides of it. Like, there's what it sounds like in the room for you, and that's crucial when it comes to making music and mixing music, is what you're hearing. But on maybe the first thing that you brought up, which you should consider, and I would put this also on because I said like a space you can be comfortable in. That also kind of mixes in with what you're talking about, because if you're setting up a studio space for yourself and people are constantly interrupting you, hey, it's too loud, or banging on their ceiling or whatever, and like you're pissing people off because you're too loud, that's not going to be conducive to a creative environment, is it? So that kind of acoustics and comfort sort of cover all of that if you think about it.
Well, the distinction I wanted to make was the distinction between sound treatment and soundproofing, which right. A lot of people get those confused with each other.
Which is just what John Selway said by a different name.
Yeah.
Well,
you're being more specific about how and what now, which is totally,
Right, because
Yeah, but
what I what I
what's it
use
sound
what
like
I
on the inside?
so what I get, it's a lot of the times from students or whatever, is they'll think soundproofing and sound treatment is kind of one and the same, that you can easily prevent sounds from leaving your studio, like bass from not disturbing your neighbor with just some acoustic paneling, and that's not
Yeah,
that
no,
not.
that doesn't work. That's not realistic.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do believe that. A lot of people do believe that, and
My basement, I would like to put like Chicago bar and like rock soul. I have the ceiling ripped out right now, and I just want to make it so I never have to hear my tenants upstairs ever again, or them have to hear me. And my significant other is a drummer, and one of his biggest issues is he can't play the drums in the house here, and making noise and being fearful of making too much noise and having his studio equipment, just it's not comfortable. And if you can't be comfortable making noise where you work, it's an issue. And like you guys must get really depressed if you can't make noise.
yeah, that's been the case for me for sure. And now I have this wonderful new place that I've been in the last few months kind of building out, in which I'm kind of very lucky I can make noise here. But even then, sometimes my daughters will come down and say, "Dad, you're being too loud.
Ah,
Turn it down." Which is weird because your kids are telling the parents that the music is too loud. Isn't that kind of weird?
I know. Wasn't it always the opposite when we were younger? Our parents always yelling at us because it was too loud.
Somebody's been always telling us that it's been too loud. So, John, how do you go about treating a room?
Well, right now I don't, because I'm in my, living room in my apartment with my family, and there's nothing I can do here to change the acoustics
Well, once you do get
without
a new studio,
without interrupting. Yeah, okay. So, all right, starting from a blank slate. The only real way to do it is what they call a room in a room, where you make an air gap to separate the vibrations from where your studio is and the outside world. So that's sort of like the ideal situation is you go into a space that's completely unfinished, that doesn't have any, drywall, that doesn't have any like
sort of what Maria has
floor.
going on.
Yeah, like you want a raw space. I mean, like a basement's good because it's under the ground and it's surrounded on the bottom and the sides by earth, which is great because that absorbs a lot. You only really have to think about the ceiling. But you still, in order to not transmit vibrations, need an air gap between the room you're in and whatever's on the outside of it.
Or you need
the
green
vibrations.
glue. Do you know about this green glue?
Well, yeah, when you're building walls, well, you can put a layer of absorption between like drywall, between joints, between any place where something that vibrates can touch another thing and transmit that vibration. You can reduce that by inserting certain types of materials like green glue.
Yeah, this is green acoustic glue. You use it. You
It's
put
like
it between.
the same kind of stuff. What when you put up drywall and you put down a layer of whatever, like this is the same stuff except that it's made to absorb vibration.
Yeah, this is like if you put 2 layers of sheetrock, you might want to put this in between the 2 layers, and this will do a lot for transmission.
It will, but it won't do as much as actual airspace.
No, well, you might want to have both. You might want to have 2 layers of sheetrock and then a layer of air with maybe some fiberglass insulation in there in order to bring that down. But the truth is, bringing down the possibility of having sound leave your studio, that's going to be a very hard task. What you can actually
and expensive.
more easier do. Oh, there's a cat now on our show.
And
it's my
is
Bella. I
random.
figured she was prettier to look at than me, so.
What you can do, a lot easier than soundproofing is sound treatment, and that means killing some of the reflections that you might have in the room, and that you can do pretty easily. I think maybe the little bit of harder thing to do is like making so bass doesn't disappear into places like corners and things like that. and you might have to then invest a little money into either building or buying bass traps. It all depends on the geometry in your room. You basically want to have the correct geometry that'll get you the right balance in that room. All right. So that's enough about the treatment. Let's talk about equipment that one might need to start out with. I think these days you can get a lot of pretty good equipment for not so much money. I have some recommendations, and maybe you guys can throw out some recommendations if you have some ideas. Let's start out with speakers. Now, as far as speakers, I love to recommend the JBL 305s. These are the JBL 305s, which are really inexpensive. If you think about it, you can usually find a sale and get them for $200 for both of them.
So you think like $200 is a good price, a benchmark for studio speakers to start out with, or?
I would say that these speakers for $200, if you can get, usually they list for $150 each, but you could get them for $200 on sale if you hunt. That could be these speakers for $200 will actually work for you. You could probably do a whole album with these. Okay. These are amazing for what they are. There are others. I mean, a lot of people like these instead. These Yamahas, these HS8s, I guess these are. They're a little more expensive, I think. And then there's ones that John got me up on. There's these. John.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's the IK Multimedia iLoud.
Yeah.
And those are great for just starting out, and the speakers that you mentioned already are really good for their size and their price.
Yeah,
these
are a little more pricey.
They're a little more pricey. Well, it depends on which version you get. There's the iLoud and then the iLoud MTM, which are the bigger ones.
Right.
And those are like $350 each. But the reason why I prefer these over the ones you mentioned is they're designed to work well and be balanced in a room with poor acoustics. Basically, they're designed to be like in everybody's bedroom or on your desk in the corner of your room.
And check this out, they're tiny. They're tiny. Hold on,
these are tiny.
I actually have
the regular iLouds are you show them. Look how small those are. And there are other speakers that are that small that have the wide frequency range that they do. These are incredibly bassy for how small they are. It's just amazing. But
this is how small this speaker is. I mean, insane.
I have mixed records that were released, commercially on those exact speakers that Abe is holding in his hand right now. And now I have the bigger, better versions of them, that iLoud MTMs. And they're really great if you're like me. I'm in my living room. I do not have control over the acoustics of my situation right now. They're designed to be on a desk close to you. The imaging is amazing. The dynamic range is amazing for the size. The accuracy for such an inexpensive speaker is really good. So yeah, I highly recommend those.
Yeah, I think they're just a little more than $200 the pair, but
for the small ones, and if size is an issue, the bigger one.
If you have a small little apartment and you just want to have a little setup, they're perfect. I mean,
let's talk about acoustics and speakers for a second. Big speakers are not good in a small room. It doesn't matter how good the speakers are. It'd be better to get some tiny little ones than big, huge ones in a small room.
But you would just think like something like, like something like size of like, this. I can't really show, but like a big room, a big speakers is big sounds. Like that just, you would just think that doesn't make sense anyway. Like that's just not, that's loud. Like, like we put big speakers because we want more loud, and that doesn't necessarily mean the sound and the quality is completely clear, and you probably wouldn't get as much range, and you would lose certain frequencies. Or I would just think that, big doesn't necessarily mean better.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that I would probably want this speaker if I was going to mix down something than a bigger speaker that just sounds louder.
Get those little speakers. Those things are adorable.
Yeah, you could put them in a Trader Joe's bag with like a kumquat and a couple of dozen eggs.
Super cute.
All right, so let's keep it moving. I just want to get some recommendations on. So I'm going to give you my recommendation on what I think I would get if I had to start off today for an audio interface, and what I would like to recommend is this one here, the Motu M2. It's about $170 and is killer.
It's got levels. That's awesome.
It does have levels, and not only that, it sounds amazing. It's John is thumbing up the Motu M2. And anybody have another suggestion for audio interface? Budget priced?
I mean, maybe the one with more outputs, but I think that's
the
best
M4.
one. Yeah,
there's an M4 for about another $80 or something like that, $70 more, which probably makes sense to just go for that one to begin with.
The only thing I would say is if you're thinking about a studio for having hardware and recording external gear onto your computer, you need an interface. Even if you're just starting out, but not an interface that already has lots of inputs, an interface that can be expanded later. Something that has like an optical ADAT input, for example.
But
I'm trying to think of something
thinking
that's
about the most
that
budget thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about the most budget thing that we can get and get rolling.
So am I.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well,
okay.
Do you have any suggestions?
Well, all right. If I was only going for sound quality and if per dollar, those Motu ones that we're talking about are like the best cheap interfaces for how they sound. If you're on a budget and you need to record multiple sources, you got to be looking at some other brands that are less expensive. And also, I want to say I'm not a snob about audio interfaces. Like, I think whatever works with your computer and is in your budget is fine. So if that means buying a Behringer, then go buy a Behringer, is what I'm saying. Even the cheapest, so there's some exceptions. There's some ones that still have bad drivers and whatever, but like get what you need that fits in the budget, because as far as sound quality goes, it's like diminishing returns to spend more money. So like,
agreed.
Yeah.
All right. We just have a few more minutes. I just want to get to some other suggestions here. Any suggestions for headphones? I'm going to show you a couple of the ones that I like to recommend. Beyerdynamics. The 990s are nice. I have a cheap pair of Sennheiser's 280s, which are like less than $100, which I've gotten very used to. And I have these Sony MDRs, which are like workhorses and very cheap. And I also like these ayayais because they sound like, if I'm talking in Spanish, I'm saying ayayai. These are
I'm a
Danish.
fan of these ayayais. These Trax headphones, they're like, they're super.
But those are ayayai or
yeah, and they're $45. I mean, sometimes new they're 80, but they're like they're like, now you buy them, you can only like, they haven't been out for a little while, but you can find them and they're like usually $50. But they're really is extremely transparent. It's sort of like
they're not really cheap.
It's like NS10s or something. It's like thin, but just maybe you're missing a little bit of like low mid or something like that, but it's just an amazing, you just really hear the highest of highs and the lowest of lows on these things weirdly. I think they're really cool. And then I had the other ones I use are the V Motas. So V Motas crossfades for like the big, like, okay, I need this type of like big sound, and then this is like for the pristine sound. All
right. That's Nick Lobier's recommendations. Maria, do you have a pair of headphones that you like?
Believe it or not, the Audio Technica ATH M50X. Those are the ones. I mean, they're pretty beat up right now. But
what's the model number again?
The ATH M50X, and they're pretty beat up. So, for having something for a pretty long time, being a headphone for me, that's pretty good, because you would just go through them and they just wouldn't last long. And then the Sennheiser ones, Frankie Knuckles gave me a pair. I forgot the model. I don't have them, but they're so beautiful, and they're not big at all, and they're not obnoxious. And I
are
don't
those
know
the
which
HD25s?
I think so.
Oh yeah, the little cup ones. Those are like classics.
Yeah. They're beautiful. It's,
yeah,
and those two are my recommendations.
John, what about you?
I've got DT880s. I've become very accustomed to. I really like how they sound. They're similar.
And you look good in them too.
Oh, sweet. So the 990s are brighter, I would say, than the 880s. And those are completely open, right? The 990s are like there's open, there's semi-open, which the 880s and the 770s are closed. And they're similar, but they all have a different sort of signature. And the 990s are brighter. The 880s I found to be a little smoother in the highs. And then I think the 770s are warmer, like you're going to feel more bass in the 770s. But otherwise, they're all very similar. And the 770s are the cheapest, I think.
Okay, let's move on to one more category, and I think a lot of people might want to be. Well, it's a couple more, and we can go a little over in time. What about microphones? What are your suggestions? Let me show you what I would recommend for microphones. I would say maybe.
What are you
I think.
recording, though?
What's that?
What are you recording? Because it's like microphones. for
That's true,
different
but we're talking about like starting and on a budget. Like, so what's the first thing that I would go out and get? I think I would probably run out and get maybe an SM58, just because you could do a lot for the price of this thing. It'll last forever. You could beat away a robber with it, and it won't break. And I've seen people record with this thing. That you'd be surprised how some pro people use it for pro recordings. That and maybe even the bigger brother of it, the SM7B, which I know Michael Jackson used to really love. And then I think Shure has this new one now. This is the MV7. This is new from Shure. It's cheaper. It looks a lot like the SM7B, but it has both USB and regular output or XLR output. Both. It's also dynamic and USB, so it's pretty cool. And then for other mics, just two quick mentions. I think I really like the Rhodes NT1A, and
That's what I was just gonna say. Good one.
All right, yeah, that's a good one, right? And then the Audio Technica has this AT2020, which is pretty inexpensive, about $140 maybe. Depends on if you're hunting for a deal. Anybody have any other suggestions for microphones?
I was just going to say, if you're really... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, hold on. Let's go. Nick?
Blue Mic Spark. It's like a red mic. It's $200. It's by the company Blue, but it's red. It's cool. It's got a cool tone.
Right on. Right on. John?
Nothing specific. I mean, what you're saying about those mics are good. All those are good recommendations. I would just say for most people, going back to how we started this, talking about acoustics, most people will have more trouble getting good, clean recordings using condenser mics at first. They're more challenging to use. Condenser mics are more sensitive. They require pop filters and noise gates, and if you live in a typical non-studio environment that's not treated, and you've got your fan on your computer going and you've got people walking around and like whatever, a dynamic mic as your first mic is going to be way more forgiving. You're going to be much more pleased with your results in terms of noise, and only recording the thing you want to record using like like the SM58 is such a good mic to start out with, because it's a dynamic mic with a cardioid pattern. It's meant for voice on the stage. It rejects noise around the side and the back of the mic, and it just makes it really easy to get a clean recording out of just about anything.
Yeah, and I guess you could also, get an SM57 after that, and then record a bunch of other stuff with it.
I think even an SM57, if you're not doing vocals primarily and you just want to record instruments or sounds and things, an SM57 would even be a better choice to start with, because it doesn't have it's made for recording instruments, and you can always add like a little foam filter on top of it if you want to do a vocal recording. So you might even think just the 57 is a good one to start with, depending on what you're primarily going to use it for.
All right, and one last one, and this might be a little controversial. Now, remember, the person is starting out, they're on a budget, okay, and they want to get going. What DAW would you recommend them to have?
Logic.
Okay, actually, and we could, let's make an argument
Logic
for
is
that.
the right answer.
Well, if you're a
right
Mac
answer.
user,
if you're
a PC user,
true.
you're
This is
out.
true.
But if you are having a Mac, a Logic is the right answer, because it's the cheap answer and it's great and cheap. It's what, $200? something like that, and it's
Yeah.
really great. Like it's doesn't ask for any favors from any other DAW. I think for
I might
me,
agree, even though I'm an Ableton guy. Like Logic, the value out of, if you're really just starting out and you're not married to a particular workflow already,
that's the
and
thing.
you know,
You're just starting out.
at $200 for Logic, there's no better value. I don't know. Reason has a new subscription model now that they're starting. Have you seen this?
Yes.
I haven't looked at the details yet, but that also might be a good thing to look into as far as value for the dollar.
I don't think subscriptions are good value for the dollar, no matter what.
Well,
because
in the long term, but if you're just
Like-
starting out and you don't even want to spend $200 to figure out whether you like a DAW or not, but you pay $30 and try out Reason. See what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I get that. The thing
Maria-
with the subscriptions is like if you're out of the Wi-Fi range and they don't turn on. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Maria, do you have a suggestion for a DAW that you might like?
I mean, for beginners, it's like Joe Rave always loved using Fruity Loops and just raved about it.
FL,
It's like,
right? FL Studios. Yeah, that's
yeah,
not a bad.
and it
not
just, it's,
did they
it's
finally
just
get
like
their
a
Mac
big-
version out of beta?
They
They did.
they did.
know.
Yes.
Vocal recordings sound mad weird in FL Studio. They
Weird,
Weird,
sound
like good
sex.
weird, or weird
No,
like.
they sound weird. Like the thing with FL is that like the output sounds great. Like everybody's electronic and hip hop music sounds amazing coming out of FL Studio. And then you put a vocal in it and it sounds like an element from the beat. It sounds like multiband compressed or something. Like I don't even know how to even explain it, but that's one of the reasons I think why a lot of people don't do full songs in FL Studio, because the few people that I know that did it, when they played me their songs, it sounded just really strange. It sounded like
Yeah,
there
but
was
a lot of
OTT on the whole song.
But a lot of people who are like writing music, they're not writing full songs right now. So FL, for perfect for intros. I mean, who really writes songs anymore? Like it's not even really heard of so much, especially in our world where it's just a beat. And like, it's now everything has become like a continuous 8-minute loop where you just want to shoot yourself. There's nobody hardly writes a song anymore.
I guess
It's like, it's just like, oh wow, here's like one of those loop records. Remember, like you would get the like, what were those called? Like the
You mean the
lock loop
serotonin
records?
loops?
Yeah, and it's just like, and now like people take that and expand it and have 8 minutes of it and call it a track. I'm like, okay, this is really awful that I hardly listen to music that much anymore.
I'm
So
laughing
much
because
longer.
serotonin is John's label, and he had a compilation. Remember that loops the cuts. It loops and loops again, right, John? John's just looking at us like,
No, I agree. And you're like, but there's always, all right, this is another conversation. There's always been DJ tools. There's always been tracks that don't change much, and it's up to the DJ to do something with it.
Yeah,
But you're right.
when
There's a lot of boring arrangements out there, but that's what I should talk about arrangement on my show tomorrow. So
yeah, you have a show on arrangement tomorrow. Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's see. I would say, what about Bitwig? Bitwig is not that expensive, and it's my favorite. I just had to throw it in there. And sorry, Ableton, you're too expensive for this conversation right now. But we're all Ableton users.
But there's a light version of Ableton, and there's also a lot of hardware that you buy is bundled with a light version of Live, so you can get the hardware, and try out Ableton Live for free. So
Yeah,
the full suite is a big expense.
What'd you say, Nick?
The Ableton demo now is 90 days full use. You can
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous? You could just use it for 3 months, a whole summer.
That's
of
make an
Ableton.
album.
That's great. Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've way going over time here. Thanks everybody for joining me. You guys have been great sports. With Maria and with Nick, I just kind of threw out the links and say, hey, come on. They didn't even know what they signed up for. John's been on here before. I've been bugging Maria to kind of come in and kind of talk because I like Maria's opinions on things. But really, thank you for coming in. It's been really a lot of fun. Remember, we are 343 Labs, the school that John and I teach at. And this is 343 TV from 343 Labs. Come and take a class with us. Come visit our website, D43labs.com or D43labs.de. John and I have classes starting all the time, and there's other instructors there too, other even dubspot instructors. Anything you want to add? John has a show tomorrow. Come to John's show at 1 p.m. And what's it going to be on, John? What were you telling me?
Well, I was told it was on arranging, so that's, I guess, what I'm going to do.
John is going to do a show on arranging tomorrow.
John's baseline video from the dubspot days is classic. It's one of the best videos ever.
Thanks,
about
man.
atonal bass lines with operator.
People
I know
still send me
hip-hop
messages
guy.
about that. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, dude, insane bit of wisdom giving away for free.
All right, everybody. Let's just say goodbye to you guys and to the whole to the gang that's hanging out always in the chat. And we'll see you again next week. Maybe some of these faces will be here again. Maybe not. Take care. Bye.
Nice meeting you, Maria. Bye.